Haiti has collapsed. Literally, there is no functional government, and at least 95% of the country's roads, ports, and utilities are now in the hands of gangs. On March 11th, Haitian President Ariel Henry announced his resignation and fled the country, amid attacks from Haiti's most powerful gang conglomerate, led by the now infamous man who they call Barbeque. I'm sure you've seen this guy all over the news. But how did this happen? How did Haiti become a truly failed state? It goes deep, and I promise you that you cannot believe what the mainstream media, and certainly not what the US government, is telling you about Haiti. Today we're going to have a look at these gangs and how they operate in Haiti, how they managed to take over the country, and most importantly, how this ties into the US and the United Nations and their potential invasion of Haiti, maybe as soon as the end of this year. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment if you enjoy this video. In order to understand the anarchy that has gripped Haiti in recent years, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. The country of Haiti was founded by former slaves. Remember, it was a French colony and it had one of the most brutal systems of slavery in the West Indies. Until 1804, when Toussaint Louverture led the first and only successful slave revolt in the history of the Atlantic slave trade. They kicked out the French enslavers and toppled the government of Saint-Domingue, and then the free nation of Haiti was born. And basically ever since then, for the past 200 years, Haiti has been under constant assault and intervention by foreign governments. First by the Spanish, then the French, who tried to recapture it in 1825, then later by the Germans, and then of course after that, the Americans. The United States invaded Haiti in 1915 and occupied it until 1934, and has basically been fucking with it ever since, installing puppet governments friendly to its business and political interests, and staging CIA-backed coups whenever those governments were no longer useful, just like it's done in countries all over the world. And that brings us to today, 2024. Another revolution is happening, but not one led by escaped slaves, but by vicious and powerful street gangs who now control nearly every square mile of the country. Let's look at who these gangs are and how they operate in Haiti and what makes them distinct from street gangs in other poor countries throughout the world. Okay, here are the facts. Haiti has over 200 street gangs who operate in virtually every neighborhood and sector of the capital of Port-au-Prince and the surrounding areas. Now, unlike criminal gangs in places like Colombia, Mexico, or Jamaica, where drug trafficking is the main revenue source, in Haiti, most of the gang's money comes from extortion, kidnapping, and lately, the theft and takeover of public services like water and electricity. That's how poor Haiti is. There isn't even a local market for drug trafficking, which makes sense. According to the UN, nearly half of the people in Haiti are at risk of malnutrition. That's 4.35 million people who don't get enough to eat every day. They're definitely not spending their money on drugs. The extortion happens by way of protection money paid to the neighborhood gangs by local businesses, street vendors, and bus drivers. Now entire neighborhoods can have their water and power shut off if they refuse to pay whichever gang has commandeered the utilities for that part of the sector. The few wealthy elite who are still left in Port-au-Prince are under constant threat of kidnapping for ransom, and in 2023 alone there were almost 1,000 cases of reported kidnapping, and increasingly of women and children. But the other and perhaps most lucrative revenue source for Haiti's most violent gangs are the police. That's right. According to Insight Crime, before the assassination of President Moises in 2021, the G9 and Family Gang Federation received 50% of their revenue from the government. This is how crazy things are in Haiti. Here's how it works. The different street gangs are represented or sponsored by rival political parties, who provide them with money, guns, military equipment, and protection from arrest, in exchange for those gangs making sure that the neighborhoods they control deliver their candidates' votes on election day. We saw a version of this in Jamaica in the 1960s and 70s during the Rude Boy era, where the drug gangs on the west side of Kingston, representing the Jamaican Labor Party, made war against the gangs on the south side of Kingston, who were sponsored by the leftist People's Party. Let's put that in perspective. That would be like if in America, the Republican Party armed and funded the Bloods, and the Democrats armed and funded the Crips. Absolutely insane. But it's happening in Haiti and on a massive scale. And now finally, these gangs have gotten so powerful that they have actually overpowered the parties who were sponsoring them in the first place. And that leads me to this man, Jimmy Cherizier, aka Barbeque, who overnight became the most infamous gang figure in the world. The news is calling him a warlord and a cannibal, but most of that is just propaganda nonsense. He's a criminal and a murderer for sure, but a smart one, and if he gets his way, could be the next president of Haiti. Barbeque is the founder of G9 and Family, which is a criminal federation of 9 of the most powerful street gangs operating in Port-au-Prince. Barbeque himself is a former police officer who is accused of numerous extrajudicial killings, including the 2018 massacre of 71 people in the neighborhood of La Saline, which was controlled and sponsored by a rival political party. A warrant was issued for him after this massacre, so he left the police force and formed the G9 and Family, who has close political ties with the PHTK, the party of then-President Jovenel Moises. Their main rival is the so-called GPEP, which is another federation of street gangs that was formed in 2020 by a band called T. Gabriel in response to the creation of G9 and Family. Not surprisingly, T. Gabriel and the GPEP are sponsored by a rival political party of the PHTK. Are you seeing the pattern here? How else could dirt poor street gangs, whose business model is to extort equally poor street vendors and businesses, afford the military-grade assault rifles and tactical gear that is a staple of both the GPEP and the G9 and Family? These two federations have essentially been at war ever since, turning the streets of Port-au-Prince into a war zone. Last year alone, there were almost 5,000 gang-related homicides, and the atrocities against civilians are racking up. But then, something happened. On July 7th of 2021, President Jovenel Moises was assassinated at his home in Port-au-Prince by a group of Colombian mercenaries, at least 7 of whom received military training by the United States. But it might even go deeper than that. According to the New York Times, once these mercenaries got arrested, they admitted that they had been told by other conspirators that the plot to kill Moises was a CIA operation and that it had, quote, the full support of the United States, which was nervous about the late president's alleged links to various ne'er-do-wells. And of course, by ne'er-do-wells, they probably meant gang leaders like Barbeque and his sponsor at the PHTK. Now, I want to point out that these allegations have not been confirmed, but if you know anything about the history of the CIA, it should come as no surprise that they would encourage violence to overthrow a leader of a government that is no longer friendly to them. If they could do it to JFK, then they could certainly do it to the president of Haiti. After the death of President Moises, instead of encouraging a free election, the United States scrambled to find a replacement who would be acceptable to them, and backed Ariel Henry, who was then the prime minister. In short, Henry's presidency was a disaster. He was wildly unpopular, suspended the Constitution, refused to hold elections, and get this, he's since been linked to the assassination of President Moises. Wow, what a shock. He also stopped subsidizing fuel, causing violent rioting to break out in Port-au-Prince in September of 2022. Now, you'll remember how I told you that Barbeque and the G9 were closely allied with President Moises. After Moises' assassination, Barbeque decided to take the gloves off. Instead of just attacking the rival GPEP, Barbeque is now trying to topple the entire government of Haiti. It started with attacks on police and military targets, took over public utilities, and even twice managed to blockade Haiti's national oil terminal, causing emergency fuel shortages throughout the country. Arms trafficking into Haiti is at an all-time high, with most of the guns being sourced in the United States and smuggled into the country by corrupt officials. President Henry, of course, has been begging for U.S. intervention this entire time. And that is how they finally arrived at the so-called security agreement with the country of Kenya, which was signed at the beginning of March of this year and would have committed 1,000 Kenyan troops into Port-au-Prince to try and squash the violence. Now, what is this all about? What does Kenya and Africa have to do with Haiti? Well, let me explain. The United States was behind all of this. You see, Kenya is also a puppet state of the US, and they routinely vote in unison with the United States at UN councils, no matter how unpopular the issues are, like the war in Ukraine or the Israeli bombing of Gaza. Now, as it stands right now, the US doesn't want to put our own boots on the ground in Haiti. Along with other Caribbean states, the US brokered this security deal between the Kenyan and the Haitian governments that would have put Kenyan troops on the ground instead. But it was not to be. One day after the security agreement was signed, Barbeque and other members of the G9 and family stormed one of the largest prisons in Port-au-Prince, killed multiple guards, and freed over 4,000 violent inmates, including, get this, the 17 Colombians indicted in the assassination of President Moises in 2021. This is insane. This is out of a movie. And I'm not sure if it's related or not, but in the week and a half since this happened, The security deal with Kenya and the agreement for them to put troops on the ground in Haiti has been withdrawn. There will be no more ground invasion. Not that it would have done much good anyways. Then, finally, on March 12th, President Henry officially announced his resignation as president from a safe house in Puerto Rico. As of right now, as we're filming this, there is no replacement. There is no current sitting president of Haiti, and Barbeque and his confederation are closing in for the final blow. Gangs have successfully shut down the international airport in Port-au-Prince and now control over 95% of the roads throughout the country. They're attacking any and all institutional targets, including the central bank. So what does he want, or what do they want? Barbeque has stated that the goal is to capture Haiti's police chief and government ministers and to prevent Mr. Henry's return. According to the international press, he has also threatened to go after hotel owners who are hiding politicians or collaborating with Mr. Henry. Furthermore, he demanded that, quote, the country's next leader be chosen by the people and live in Haiti alongside their families. So they don't want some elitist president who's not even living inside of Haiti running the actual country, which is reasonable. And there you have it, the right to self-determination, the right of a people to freely get to choose their leaders without outside interference by the United States and its allies. This is precisely what has been denied to Haiti since its inception. We're not in a peaceful revolution, Barbeque said. We are making a bloody revolution in the country because this system is an apartheid system, a wicked system. It's pretty wild to think that the last time Haiti had a revolution, it involved enslaved black people overthrowing their white enslavers. And now today, 220 years later, it involves violent street gangs overtaking the security state of a sovereign nation. It's almost unthinkable in modern times, but it's happening. And Barbeque is right, it will be bloody. Even more so than it already has been. And just like almost every other violent revolution in human history, it is doomed to failure, as revolutionaries quickly turn into dictators upon getting their first taste of power. The question is, will Barbeque turn around and bequeath power back to elected representatives after he and the G9 family eventually do overthrow the government? It's possible, but I seriously fucking doubt it. The only X factor is the United States. Will they sit back and allow another Cuba to happen in their backyard? In ordinary times, I would bet everything that no, they would not allow this to happen. But these aren't ordinary times. Our government is failing just like Haiti's is, and our resources are stretched to the brink in the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. Still, I don't put anything past the desperate measures of a sinking empire, and it might be only a matter of time before a US proxy or American troops themselves land in Haiti to go face to face with Barbeque, the ruthless warlord and undying patriot. All right, you guys, that's what's going on with Haiti. Shoot us a like, leave us a comment if you know anything further about this. We're going to be doing updates as they unfold. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Johnny Mitchell. This has been Illegal Business, and we will see you next week.